So at InMobi, I work with anyone that's a third party in the ecosystem. So you're not an advertiser, you're a publisher, you're one of the ad tech players kind of in the middle, I'll work with you. So from an InMobi World Congress standpoint, probably three key things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at analytics companies to make sure that our clients can work with great analytics providers. I'm looking at data partners and data partnerships to better enhance audience targeting. And then I'm talking to a lot of people around the programmatic space in mobile. So those are probably the biggest areas that I'm talking to different companies in while I'm here. Yeah, so I actually would line up programmatic and data pretty closely in my mind, because I think in mobile is really going to put, I think people don't even realize how disruptive mobile is going to be around their media buying, and a couple different parameters. I mean, the first thing is that mobile devices basically generate 10x the amount of data and data signals that desktop has, and on a lot of different new dimensions. And so even though we think that we've been in a big data world before, you're actually in a whole different ballgame today in terms of data. And that, what's interesting is it's not even just the amount of those data signals, it's the frequency and usage of them. And what I would say is, you know, even the way you identify users, because now it's a fragmented user identification model that's required in order to appropriately identify users. It's not a cookie-only world. All of that's really under flux. And I think that for a lot of things I'm doing, whether that's programmatic, whether that's data partnerships, or whether it's analytics solutions, fundamentally, because there's new data signals and there's new ways to identify users, all of those solutions have to be hopefully mobile first solutions that really are addressing mobile as an opportunity, because that's what the future is in terms of people's digital activities. And it's where there's a richer set of data and a more complex way that you have to identify users, right? So that, for me, like all the stuff I'm working on, I think is really pushing this part of the ecosystem in new ways, and that we all have to react to and develop against to make sure we deliver the best value to advertisers. So I think there's a couple big things happening around data and audience targeting. I think the first thing that we see from an InMobi perspective, and I think that this is critical from an ecosystem perspective too, is that really having a good consumer profile, you know, consumer experience profile, where you really have built up those profiles so that you understand what people's app behavior is. Because right now, probably about, and the estimate is maybe 85% of mobile activity is actually on the app side, not the browser side, right? So you really need to make sure that you work with a partner that has a scaled view of consumers and what they're doing from their app behaviors. And so I think that's an actually really critical thing that's changing how you build audience profiles, right, in order to execute audience targeting. So the app behavior and app signals, in-app purchase signals, if you think about it, app engagement signals, retargeting consumers based on what they've done in the app environment, all of that's becoming really critical as a partner to choose, and how do you best do audience targeting to begin with in mobile. So I think that's like one really interesting thing. And when the other thing I see happening is there's a big push in the ecosystem towards first-party data. And either that's on the InMobi side from our on-device SDK, almost as a publisher, on-device SDK connections for first-party data around app behaviors, or from the advertiser side, where they really want to make sure they can use their CRM and first-party data and integrate that into major scaled media distribution partners. So a lot of the effort we have going on is really this integration with advertisers into either the direct CRM database or some kind of audience platform, so they can use those first-party signals on the advertiser side in conjunction with our first-party data signals that are SDK-driven to create the best audience profiles for them to then be able to execute, measure effectiveness against, improve campaign efficacy because they're reaching the right audience. And so that's what I think has been a big push for us, is really this first-party data side on both sides of the fence, both on the publisher side and the advertiser side.
Somebody suggested, plans where you're going